Hey guys, today we're going to talk about a very fascinating, interesting topic, zinc, okay? Now, because zinc is so vital for your body, and it's just a fascinating mineral, I created 3 parts. First thing you need to know is 2 billion people on this planet are deficient in zinc. That's crazy. That's a lot of people that are deficient. I would imagine it's even more than that as far as having a subclinical deficiency. And as we go through this, you'll see what I'm talking about. One thing about zinc is the body does not store it, so you have to constantly actually take it in. And it's a trace mineral, which means that we need it in smaller amounts compared to things like potassium, and it's essential. So what does it mainly do? It acts as a cofactor, okay, for over 1,000 enzymes. So you have all these chemical reactions going on at the cellular level with DNA turning into RNA, which is the kind of the blueprints turning into the copy of those blueprints, and the transcription and the interpretation and all that, and the building of proteins all needs zinc. So the enzymes are those things in the body that do all the work, and they need certain minerals to accomplish their job. 10% of all human protein is bound to zinc. It's a vital nutrient. It's the most common deficiency in crops. So I want to read something here. Scarcity in the soil, deficiency of micronutrients are essential for plant growth, can lead to a lower crop yield. During the past decade, soil micronutrient deficiencies have been ascertained primarily for zinc, to a lesser extent, boron and molybdenum. Soil deficiencies of zinc are widespread in Asia. Scarcity in feed, in food, and human nutrition, zinc deficiency is the most well-known micronutrient deficiency. Zinc deficiency can cause disorders in humans such as retarded growth in children. We talked about an estimated of 1/3 of the population is at risk for zinc deficiency. It is the 5th most important risk factor for disease in developing countries. Scarcity of mineral deficiencies of micronutrients in agricultural soils can be replenished with mined minerals. And then they talk about a lot of these minerals are used exclusively for industrial applications, not crops, livestock, or for humans. The mineral reserves in relation to their use seem to be most restricted for zinc. At the current level of production of mining, we have a reserve for approximately another 21 years. So at that point, I don't know what's going to happen. Priority should be given to zinc because zinc deficiencies are already occurring in food chains in a large part of the world. Now, on top of that, glyphosate, as in GMO foods, Roundup Ready, acts as a major chelator to bind and block zinc and other minerals. Now, I couldn't find the data currently, but in 2007, they were putting 80,000 metric tons of glyphosate into the environment. Don't worry, it gets worse. All right, so now let's get into the symptoms of what happens when you're zinc deficient. Growth retardation, okay? So if you're pregnant, if you're breastfeeding, make sure that you're taking the trace minerals, including zinc, to maximize growth of that child. Loss of taste and or smell, a lowered immune system, which we'll get into in the next video. Prostate, testosterone issues, skin problems, major depression. Zinc is intimately involved in insulin production. Another side effect of zinc deficiency is diarrhea, eye problems, delayed healing, ulcers of the mouth, of the digestive system. Zinc is a really good remedy for ulcers of the stomach as well. Macular degeneration related to age. Inflammation in general. Zinc is a natural anti-inflammatory, and it's a very powerful antioxidant as well. And I'm going to talk about some of these other things in more detail in the next couple of videos. The foods that are highest in zinc are oysters, beef, crab, and pumpkin seeds, by the way. Now, there's other things that will decrease your absorption of zinc. If you had a gastric bypass surgery, if you had any type of digestive damage like IBS, Crohn's, diverticulitis, you've had a lot of antibiotics that can create a problem, liver disease, cirrhosis, things like that. And also if you have lower stomach acid. So many people don't have enough stomach acid because you need this acid to absorb these minerals. How do you know if you're deficient? Well, if you have heartburn, chances are you're deficient in the acid that you need to absorb the minerals, and especially if you're taking an antacid. All right, phytates or phytic acid. That would be in grains, whole grains, like it's in the bran or the fiber of whole grains and legumes. And this compound actually blocks the absorption of zinc. So it's actually kind of like a chelator. It binds it, very similar to glyphosate. Diabetes, okay, having high blood sugar because a high carb diet will deplete zinc as well. So we're living in this environment that's making it very hard to get zinc with the GMO foods, the high carb diets, with the soil becoming depleted, and with all the pre-existing digestive problems that we normally have, not to mention low stomach acids, because I really wanted to bring up your awareness of these connections between these problems and a simple trace mineral. All right, let's go to part 2. Hey guys, we're back. I'm talking about zinc. This is part 2. If you have not seen part 1, I put a link down below. You can check that out first. First thing I want to touch on is depression, okay? Zinc is a natural antidepressant, okay? In patients that have major depressive disorders, they're usually always deficient in zinc. So if you have depression, it's such a simple remedy. Take some zinc. It might just help you. But generally, if you're deficient in zinc, you get degeneration of your nerves, of your nervous system. Now, there's a lot of concentration of zinc in the neurons around the amygdala and the hippocampus, specifically the dentate gyrus or gyrus, I don't know how to pronounce it. Now, the amygdala is this part of the brain that's involved with stress responses. It's kind of, you can look at it like the adrenal gland in your brain because it reacts and adapts to stress. The hippocampus, which they don't know exactly what it does, but it's involved in like a relay switch with your memories, forming new memories, and spatial memory, like trying to find your way out of some maze. It's kind of like your GPS, okay? It helps you locate things in space. Now, the hippocampus in general has a very interesting capacity to regenerate. And this is why things that are connected to memory loss, focus, concentration can be improved with intermittent fasting so well, because intermittent fasting stimulates the regeneration of this part of the brain right here. And these structures right here directly influence one's mood. Dopamine, for example, binds to zinc. So dopamine gives you pleasure. So what's the opposite of pleasure? Depression, right? Also, it's involved in, like I said before, making proteins, and guess what neurotransmitters are? They're proteins. So if you have any problem with depression or any type of mood disorder, take zinc. It can potentially help you greatly. All right, now let's shift to skin disorders. Now you may already know this, but there's so many different skin creams and skin healing creams that involve zinc. And if you're zinc deficient, you can get acne, eczema, dermatitis, many different types of dermatitis, rosacea. A zinc deficiency can dry out the oil in the skin. It's called the sebum. It can lead to ulcers of the skin, both superficially and internally, like ulcers of the stomach or ulcers in the mouth, or even like bed sores. One of the treatments for bed sores is a zinc cream that you would put on it, or even diaper rash, for example, irritation in the skin, you use this zinc. So you can look at zinc as a natural anti-inflammatory. So a zinc deficiency can also lead to hyperpigmentation on the skin and alteration in color. Alopecia, that's where you have hair loss in different patches. This is an autoimmune condition. Cracked skin, skin that's fissured, nail changes, and skin is the third most zinc abundant tissue in the entire body. All right, guys, stay tuned for part 3 when we get into the relationship between zinc influencing your blood sugars and insulin, your immune system, and the prostate and testosterone. All right, we finally made it to part 3. We're talking about zinc. If you have not seen part 1, part 2, I put the links down below. But zinc is a very fascinating mineral and very vital to your health. A lot of people are deficient, but it also affects the prostate. Out of all your tissues, the prostate has the most concentration of zinc of any tissue that you have. And having a deficiency of zinc could lead to hypogonadism, where you have smaller testicles, smaller output of testosterone, because you need zinc to make testosterone. Your sperm is rich in zinc as well. And also, if you have an enlarged prostate, you may have high levels of something called DHT, which is a more potent version of testosterone. And there's an enzyme that converts testosterone to DHT. It just so happens that zinc blocks that enzyme. So zinc is really important in prostate health, testosterone health, and sperm viability. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is insulin. So zinc is actually stored with insulin. It's involved in the production of insulin. It's also involved in the secretion and storage of insulin. So if you're type 2 diabetic, it might be a good idea to make sure you have enough. Patients that have pancreatitis, for example, are usually low in zinc, and also a condition called pancreatic insufficiency. Basically, it means that the function of the insulin is suppressed, and there's two parts to the pancreas. You have the exocrine gland, which is all the enzymes, okay? So if you have a deficiency of the pancreas and you're not outputting enzymes, you're going to have a hard time breaking down your food, as well as the endocrine portion, which is involved in the insulin and glucagon and other hormones that are related to blood sugars. So you're going to have lowered zinc in both the inflammatory condition with the pancreas, as well as just the lack of output of enzymes and hormones. So real simple solution, take zinc if you have a pancreatic problem. All right, so now we're at the immune system. Very, very interesting that your mast cells, the cells that are involved with histamines and allergy reactions and asthma symptoms, need zinc as their main mineral. So when you take zinc, it can act as a natural antibiotic, a natural anti-inflammatory, reduce inflammation and mucus. And zinc actually can inhibit certain viruses as well, especially the rhinovirus of the sinuses. The superficial internal layer that surrounds your airways are loaded with zinc. Okay, of course, you have all these mast cells that are waiting to deal with any type of foreign particles, like pollen, for example. Zinc can decrease the time of having the common cold. If you can take zinc right at the very beginning of getting a cold, you can shorten the time considerably. Now, another interesting side note about zinc is that certain funguses, candida, grow with these minerals. And so they will tend to steal your zinc and other minerals like manganese. And if they take your zinc and leave you deficient, then they can survive better because they weaken your immune system. So there is this underlying immune battle between your immune system and microbes and trying to snatch up and steal all this zinc right here. So I hope you guys now have an increased awareness of the importance of this really simple trace mineral in your entire health. I always recommend taking trace minerals in their complete blend, not just taking one trace mineral, because you need other trace minerals as well. So find a good trace mineral that you can take on a regular basis to compensate for all the other deficiencies in your environment and your food. All right, guys, thanks for watching.